Welcome to One Breath Wisdom, the podcast for therapists, healers, and soul-led space holders, ready to lead from wholeness, not burnout. I am Lisa McNett, founder of One Breath Institute and co-creator of the One Breath Method. Each week, I will be sharing trauma-informed insight, somatic tools, and real stories from the healing path, sometimes solo, sometimes with our co-founder, Deborah Dickey, and sometimes with special guests walking this path in their own powerful way. Together, we will explore how healing, embodiment, and presence can transform the way we live, lead, and care for others without losing ourselves. Let's take a breath and begin. Hello and welcome to One Breath Wisdom. I am your host, Lisa McNett. Today is going to be a solo podcast episode. I'm here wanting to speak about something that is near and dear to my heart and near and dear to my personal experience, something that I am still in the process of working through. And I don't always talk about things that I'm still in the process of working through. Oftentimes, I wait until I've come fully to the other side of it, but this feels so relatable. It feels so relatable, and it feels like there are so many people out there who could benefit from hearing this. My intention or my invitation is to let's start up a conversation about this because I don't believe it is talked about enough. Here's a kind of a cliche, title for the subject, and it's reclaiming yourself after seasons of losing yourself. Now that might be common. We might hear that all the time. Reclaim yourself, come home to yourself. After periods or after seasons of losing yourself, and there's so many different things that this can be applied to. And for me, it's applying it to the really, really big, heavy things. So for those who do not know, my mother passed away last July, the end of July. So that's one thing. That's a big thing already, right? It's just when you lose a parent, or specifically when you lose a mother. I've lost both my parents. My father passed away in 2009, and now my mother's death was last year in 2024, July. Losing a parent is hard in itself. I feel like losing the mother was harder. It was a more challenging experience for me. I had difficult relationships with both of my parents, but a more difficult relationship with my father. And I was in my mother's life, and in those final months, I was her primary person. She was not staying in my home, but starting in January, she had a second brain surgery, and I was with her through that recovery, staying in an ICU hospital 2 hours from my home. I was her power of attorney. And from that time in January until her passing in July, there was a lot of ownership of her, period, and a lot of being that primary caregiver, having trips back and forth to different hospitals that were maybe 2 hours away or maybe 1 hour away, getting her into a facility and her being with hospice. But still, if you've had somebody who's in a facility, you have to be on top of things because nobody else is really on top of it. Even in a really good facility, anything can happen at any time. So there was at least a 6-month period. And when I really look at it and I'm honest with myself, this goes back prior to January. So it goes back prior to that time where I was making conscious choices to be in this role of supporting my mother. And I have been in this healing world. I have so many tools and resources to keep myself sober. For one thing, sober. When my father passed away, I got drunk. And I had been on again, off again, drinking, not drinking, but Well, it wasn't when he passed, it was actually the very last day that I saw him. He was in a hospice facility, and I woke up that morning and I could just hear music playing in my head, and I was connecting with him, and I knew my father was a musician, and he loved music more than anything, and I could just hear him I could hear him and I could hear music. So I got up and I bought some CDs that I knew he would like, and I drove them out to the hospice facility that he was in, and he had had a stroke the night before. And so I won't go into his appearance, but he was already on the deathbed. And if you know what that looks like, there's a differentiation in color that happens. And then he had a stroke. So his appearance was in itself challenging. But I played the music for him all day. I was there, and I knew this was going to be the last day that I would ever see him. And this was the end. And I drove straight to a bar and I ordered a Coors Light beer and a shot of whiskey. And I proceeded to have several more and to call the only person that I knew who would come and drink with me. And yeah, that did not turn out so well. But I say that because that's where I was at that time. And sometimes we're in places where the situations that we are dealing with, that we're facing, that we're managing, that we're navigating when it comes to life and death and parents, um, and caring for others, that can push us to our edges. And so I've been sober for a long time, since shortly after that event with my father. So have all the resources to to support myself. And I have people in my life to support me. And have our co-founder, Deborah Dickey, who is able to step in and run the school when I needed to be away and cover my classes and things along those lines. And it still takes a toll. It still takes a toll. And so things like exercising every day, which is something that had been such a part of my life for so many years. Maybe not every day all the time, but exercising a lot. I was a yoga teacher for like 17 years, and I've run a couple marathons. I work out at the gym. So exercising and eating healthy, these are ways that I would normally they would be a non-negotiable, and they are part of the ways that I was managing myself and my life and my stress. And those things slowly slipped away as I needed more time and more space, or more time and space started to become taken up with everything that was happening with my mother, and feeling also just exhausted and just needing to sleep. And, in some of these scenarios, just starting to slip and slide, staying in a hospital for a few days, someplace else, or not being in my regular environment, eating whatever just kind of came back in. And so these are some of the things that started to slip away, right? Just these practices that had been so embedded in my body and so much part of who I am and non-negotiables. And waking up in the morning, checking the phone right away, because what kind of call was I going to have? What kind of text was going to be there? What did I need to do to face that day? What emergency was happening? I know some of you have gone through these experiences. Maybe some of you are still going through these experiences, and you understand that they can really become all consuming. And reflecting back, my grandmother was in this sort of a state for a few years. And so I was a secondary role support with my grandmother. My mother was that first line of support. And I did not understand, even though I could see it. I don't believe you can understand some of these things until you are fully immersed in these situations. And so now that I have been immersed in the situation, I can relate so much more to those of you who have experienced this, who will experience this. And with my grandmother, it was a few years. And really with my mother, it was a few years too. It was just those last 6 months that it became very much all consuming for me, and where I started to fall away from my self care in the ways that I had. It just wasn't there in the ways that it had been in the past. But also my self care became needing to sleep more, needing to sleep more, needing that rest, needing that downtime. Haven't mentioned that my mother-in-law passed away in January 31st of last year. So that happened too. There was so much happening in our family, my husband and I, and it's just the two of us living here. So you could imagine two people going through these experiences with our mothers. How can we really support each other really well? That was like two people in very stressful and grief-stricken situations with resources. So, still being conscious with each other, still being able to support each other as best as we can and ourselves as best as we can, and eat and sleep and all of those things. So after mom passed away, then there was her house. And there was her house, and her house had a lot of things in it. So many things, a big house with lots and lots of things. And I had already started before she passed away. When her mind was not fully there, I was able to start going in and sorting through and moving out some of her things. And it was a really long process that now this became a part-time job. Like managing my mother's house and all of the things that needed to happen to be done. Now this was something that I got to focus on. I shifted my focus from mom to now mom's house, and so many feelings with that. So many feelings because it's still mom's house and it's all of the things that were in mom's house. Some of those things go back generations. She was the catch-all for both sides, her lineage and my father's lineage. Even though they divorced when I was 17, she still had all the things from both sides coming down. So, anyway, as I'm recording this, the house is, we should be closing on the sale on Friday, August 15th, and that part of the journey is over. It's been pretty much over for a couple months now. And so, it's about 3 months ago that I started at a gym again. And I couldn't motivate myself. I had gotten so far out of my exercise routine and I was feeling so weak and so unmotivated that I joined. I would go every now and then to the gym, but I just couldn't get my oomph. So I joined a local gym. I'll give a shout out to Iron Legion Strength and Fitness. And I've been going there consistently, and that has been helping me to feel stronger, get stronger again in my body. I did a 6-week program to start that they had that included nutrition. So I got myself back under control with my nutrition, just getting back to these very physical practices for me, the exercise and the nutrition. I mean, I went to the Dolphins too. So if you don't know about the Dolphins, go back a few podcast episodes. But I had the opportunity to go to the Bahamas and training in bioaquatic and dolphin assisted therapy with craniosacral therapy, a Pleasure Institute that I practice and study. I've been in a period of healing and coming back to myself, like really coming back home to myself. And this is where I'm at now. So, about a month ago, July 1st, my lease started at my new office. I felt like, okay, now I have the time and the energy, and I want to have an office again where I can work with people in person again. So I have that going, and it's a very small start. I've had a couple small breathwork groups so far, and I have had a couple clients, and that's okay. It's a small start is great. And we are in the process of buying a new house, this house that we are living in. We came to Ocala, been here 2.5 years, and we've been in a townhouse, and it's been a lot of challenges in this home. This is a home that we found quick. We didn't know if we were going to stay in Ocala, how long we were going to be here. And we've had a lot of challenges and a lot of loss in this home. So we, in this exploration phase after, like December, January, February, we started questioning, like, okay, now we don't have parents anymore. And this is my husband and myself, but we don't have parents anymore. We don't have children. Where is it that we want to be? We will never have the responsibility of needing to care for someone again, so we can go anywhere. And for me, I also realized that with all of the moving that I've done, and I've done a lot of moving, I've lived a lot of places, I'm not sure, or I wasn't sure, that I ever made a decision solely based upon my true want and my true need. I've moved to get away from people, to get away from situations, to get away from myself, thinking everything will be better over there. And I've moved to be near and to be with and to be of support of others and to be close to others. So we went through this whole process and we almost moved to Tennessee. Like, Andy got his Tennessee occupational therapy license, had a job lined up, we had houses we were looking at. And then we realized that really wasn't what we wanted to do. We realized that it was one more, or for me, I will speak for myself because I don't know 100% if this is true for him, but it was one more escape. It was one more flight. It was one more, things will be better in the mountains. It'll be nicer. It'll be cooler. We'll get to do this, that, and the other. So we sat down and we decided to look at what is it that we truly value. And we do, Florida's hot, but this is where I'm from. This is my home state. And I value um, the connections that I have here, the relationships that I have here, the people that I know. I value, and Andy values, our families. And we do value the opportunity to get to be with them and to get to see them. And if we go to Tennessee, we're starting all over again in a place where we don't know anybody and we don't have any family. And why are we doing this? So we made the conscious choice to stay here in Ocala. And we're buying a house. We should close on that house on August 29th, and can't wait to get into that house. And I'm dreaming into the house and dreaming into the space. And I'm doing a lot of dreaming into, what do I want my life to look like? What feels in alignment, and how do I want to set things up for myself? And something that has come through so strongly within the last 24 hours is once again coming to a place where I separate my home and my work. That's something else that I've been doing in this home, is I've been living in this home, I've been working in this home, I've been grieving in this home. My life was consumed by my mother's care, my mother's death, my mother's house, and outside of that, being in this place and living in this place and working in this place. And so work hours, particularly with everything going on, work became a way that I could distract myself. Work became a way that I could throw myself into doing something that feels good, which is good. It's good to feel good doing my work. And when I'm home, my home used to be my sanctuary, where what feels good when I'm home is dancing around my house or playing games or anything, reading books, being outside in my yard, planting, gardening. So with all of this happening, I started looking at the ways, again, that I've lost myself and how to be more intentional with my time and my spaces and my life, and how to continue to do the things that support and uplift me and are taking care of myself, and to bring more fun and more joy into my life, and to have a separation of boundaries of where work is and where pleasure is and where home is. And with those separation of places, then I get to notice, we get to notice where something comes in and pulls the attention when we're somewhere else. So again, if I'm at home on a Friday at 7 o'clock and I start thinking about something that I need to do for work, I might have just jumped in and done it. Whereas when I have that intentional time scheduled off, now I just get to notice that I'm having this thought, I'm having this anxiety, this whatever it is, and that's not the time for that. So I know I'm ranting, I'm rambling, and this is what happens when I haven't fully worked through something and I'm just speaking to what I'm in right now. But the main exploration and the main message and the main thing that I really want to bring through that may be getting lost here a little bit, so I'm going to reconnect with it, is that once we become immersed in caring for other to the degree where we've lost ourselves or lost some of the practices and care that we have for ourselves, what I see happen is then people can stay there. People can stay there. It's a very confused place, particularly after death. When my mother passed away, it was kind of like this void that was open that, like, okay, what now? What do I do now? And the answer was take care of her house. Okay, great. That needs to happen. That needs to be done. So dive into taking care of her house. And simultaneously, while taking care of her house, I was also working through my emotional stuff. And like I said, getting back to the gym and going to the Bahamas and having that opportunity and that experience for healing and doing all of these things, so that now that the house is done, I'm not saying, but I could be saying, okay, now what? What is the next thing that I'm needed for? That I'm needed for. And the next thing that I'm needed for is coming back to myself, working with and being with myself. I often talk about it I talk about it all the time, how if we have a cup of water, it's not about emptying and filling the cup. It's about pouring water into the cup until it becomes overflowing. And that's what self-care is. You just keep doing that. And there are times in our lives when we need to step away from some of the things that we're doing, especially when we're in roles of caring for, like, our business is supporting others. So there were times that I needed to say, I can't support others right now. We have that responsibility, and it's nothing to feel guilty about. A lot of people feel guilty if they can't do it all, if they can't take care of people in their life who might be in these experiences and respond, or even after death, like, have time to grieve without showing up for your clients. And we do a disservice to ourselves and to our clients when we try to show up for them and we just are not available to do so. When you take that time and you step back and you take that space to yourself to be able to be overflowing again, you're modeling appropriate behavior. You're modeling behavior that is supportive to mental health. We're some of us who are sensitives, who have been taking care of, if you've experienced abuse, maybe you've been taking care of people your whole life, and there is this idea, there is this belief, there is this innate sense that you're letting people down if you can't be everything for everyone, but you cannot be everything for everyone. So let's take a breath. Yeah. I turned 50 in May, and I've touched on this a couple times, when I really get honest with myself, there's been a lot of years of me being in situations of caring for and or feeling responsible for others, family members or not, to the degree where I've not always been in touch with or connected to what do I enjoy, how do I want to spend my time? What do I enjoy doing? What are my conscious choices about how I want to live my life and engage with my life? So this is slightly different. So I would say while you can be in self-care, you can have time and space to exercise and to eat right and to take care of yourself and to also not be making choices with most of your decisions or most of your life that are based upon what you want. What makes me happy? What brings me joy? How do I want to spend my time? But more so, these choices can be based upon, okay, these needs are met. I'm feeling good. I have so much to give. Now let me give and give and give and give and give. And maybe from a place of wanting, but also from a place of feeling responsible for, or like I'll be letting somebody down if I don't. So this is where I'm at, is really, it's an open slate. It's a clean place where I'm entering this next half of my life, and I'm entering into a new home and a new office space, and I'm really getting to look at and be clear on, what do I love? Right? Who am I is this question forever. How do I want to spend my time? How do I want my life to be set up in a way that is spacious and feels good and is supportive for me in a way that there's no feeling responsible for. There's no feeling of guilt if I don't feel available for something. And I can just allow myself to relax. Like, I'm a good relaxer for small periods of time. I can drop into a nice deep state of relaxation. But then there's this inner anxiety that pulls me up. I need to do something. I need to go somewhere. I need to give something. I'm going to trust that this message, that something from here, is speaking to those who need it. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I'd love to open up a conversation. So I'd love to hear from you. What is your takeaway? And how might any of what I've said in today's episode, speak to where you are in your life right now? All right. And please share this message with someone that you feel they need to hear it. And we'll talk soon. Thank you for listening to One Breath Wisdom. If something in today's episode spoke to you, I would love to know it. Send me a message on Instagram at One Breath Institute or at Lisa McNett, and please share the episode with someone else who needs to hear it. Remember, you are not here to carry it all. You are here to come home to yourself, one breath at a time. Until next time, take a breath and be well.